Well, some shocking new court documents filed Friday alleging that disgraced rapper and producer Sean Diddy Combs is breaking more rules from behind bars. He's now accused of attempting to influence potential.
The day will come when we will name names other than Sean Combs, and there's a lot of names.
Ashton Kutcher has long avoided controversy, staying silent even as close friends faced scandals. But with Diddy's trial unraveling, Ashton's name is now in the spotlight. Reports confirm federal subpoenas have been issued, and he's on the list. For years, he distanced himself from legal troubles, but this time, escaping may not be so easy. Has he turned on Diddy to protect himself, or is he just caught in the chaos?
One of those guys, remember I did that story last week, like, where are all Diddy's friends? Because the silence is deafening. A lot of them don't want people looking into their closet, but Ashton doesn't want the blowback that he got with Danny Masterson.
Why is one of Hollywood's most recognizable faces being called to testify? What does Diddy know that has Ashton Kutcher so worried? And more importantly, why is he staying silent? For years, Ashton has carefully cultivated his public image, an advocate for justice, a devoted family man, and a philanthropist. But his past tells a different story, one filled with scandals, disturbing connections, and unanswered questions. From his ties to convicted rapist Danny Masterson to his suspicious involvement in a murder case, Ashton's history is finally catching up with him. Now, with Diddy facing life-altering charges, sources claim he may start naming names to protect himself. Could Ashton be next? The world is watching as the walls close in. If Diddy talks, the secrets of Hollywood's elite could be exposed, and Ashton's carefully crafted reputation may crumble. Stay with us. What we're about to uncover will change everything.
Diddy party stories, they're our favorite genre of anecdote, if you have one, yeah.
Wow, okay, I've got a lot I can't tell. So, I can't tell that one either.
Diddy's empire is crumbling, and the case against him is growing stronger by the day. Once seen as untouchable, the hip-hop mogul now faces multiple federal charges, including sex trafficking, racketeering, and obstruction of justice. These aren't just allegations. The FBI has raided his homes, uncovering what sources describe as disturbing evidence. Law enforcement officials believe Diddy operated an organized criminal network involving coercion, drugs, and illicit recordings of high-profile celebrities. Now, with witnesses stepping forward with explosive testimonies, prosecutors are tightening their grip. The walls are closing in, and the real question remains: how many more names will be exposed in this unraveling scandal? Hollywood's darkest secrets may soon come to light.
I was at a Diddy party. I was one of the party favors. But I told you, nobody tells on Diddy. Maria Z, I did that interview in 2021, 7 months ago. We made sure, I already knew, that Diddy and Oprah is about to get arrested.
For years, Ashton Kutcher and Diddy were more than just acquaintances. They were part of the same elite Hollywood circles. They attended high-profile parties together, collaborated on projects, and maintained a decades-long friendship. But now that association has placed Ashton in legal trouble. Sources confirm that federal prosecutors have subpoenaed him, likely due to his proximity to key events and individuals connected to the case. Investigators suspect that some of Diddy's infamous gatherings, including his so-called freak-off parties, had far more sinister elements than previously known. With Diddy backed into a corner, the stakes are higher than ever. When powerful figures start to fall, they rarely go down alone. Reports suggest Diddy may be willing to expose other celebrities to cut a deal, and Ashton could be one of the names at risk. This isn't the first time Ashton Kutcher has found himself entangled in controversy. His past is riddled with troubling connections, suspicious incidents, and high-profile scandals that have quietly followed him for years. One of the most significant, his close friendship with convicted rapist Danny Masterson. Ashton worked with Masterson on Asterisk, that 70s show Asterisk, and remained loyal for decades, even publicly defending him in a leaked character letter after his conviction for multiple violent assaults.
Today for Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis after their video explaining why they wrote letters of support for convicted rapist Danny Masterson. The actors were criticized for calling their former co-star a role model, among other things, and the consensus is that video didn't help.
Then there's the Ashley Ellerin murder case. In 2001, Ashton Kutcher was supposed to go on a date with Ellerin the same night she was brutally murdered. His account of that evening has always raised questions, especially after one of convicted killer Michael Gargiulo's accusers claimed to have overheard a phone call where Ashton allegedly confessed to knowing more than he let on. With this case resurfacing, one thing is clear: Ashton has spent years avoiding accountability. But now, with Diddy's trial unraveling, could this be the scandal that finally brings him down? Ashton's involvement in Diddy's legal disaster isn't just about a passing connection. It's about a long-standing friendship that now threatens to destroy him. Over the years, Ashton and Diddy have been spotted at exclusive events, private gatherings, and late-night parties attended by Hollywood's elite. But as more details emerge about what really happened at those parties, Ashton's reputation is taking a serious hit. This isn't just a case of two celebrities crossing paths at Hollywood functions. Reports confirm that Ashton and Diddy shared a strong friendship spanning decades. They weren't just industry acquaintances. They worked together, partied together, and moved in the same powerful circles. Now, sources claim Ashton was a regular at Diddy's infamous freak-off parties, lavish, highly exclusive gatherings where anything and everything allegedly happened behind closed doors.
Ashton Kutcher, who I believe could possibly just as bad. Ashton Kutcher as well. Listen, he's not guilty of this, but he arranged a date. He was late for that date, and when he got to the girl's house, he looked through the window. She was stabbed 47 times. The man ended up getting charged, but Ashton Kutcher was also involved with Abercrombie & Fitch. I think it's Mr. Jeffries who's just been done for trafficking. Ashton Kutcher was also friends with Brittany Murphy, who also was friends with P. Diddy, who also died the same death as Kim Porter.
These events, long rumored to involve drugs, underage guests, and blackmail material, are now under intense scrutiny by federal investigators. With Ashton Kutcher already under pressure from past scandals, the last thing he needs is for Diddy to turn on him. Yet, with Diddy facing life-changing legal consequences, speculation is growing that he might name names to save himself. Ashton has long maintained the image of a clean-cut, morally upright celebrity, but his actions tell a different story. When his longtime friend and asterisk that 70s show asterisk co-star Danny Masterson was convicted of rape, Ashton didn't just stay silent, he actively defended him. In a leaked character letter, Ashton praised Masterson, calling him a role model and an exceptional older brother figure. The backlash was immediate. Fans, former co-stars, and survivors' rights activists slammed him for defending a convicted predator. In response, Ashton released a public apology video alongside his wife, Mila Kunis. But instead of easing tensions, the video made things worse. Many saw it as insincere damage control, a desperate attempt to salvage his career after being exposed. The controversy led people to re-examine Ashton's past, and that's when another troubling case resurfaced: the murder of Ashley Ellerin. One of the most disturbing moments in Ashton's past is his connection to the brutal murder of 22-year-old fashion student Ashley Ellerin in 2001. She had planned to go on a date with Ashton the night she was killed. According to Ashton, he'd arrived at her house late, knocked on the door, and when she didn't answer, he peeked through the window. He later claimed he saw what he assumed was a red wine stain on the carpet. In reality, it was blood. Ashley had been stabbed 47 times by serial killer Michael Gargiulo, known as the Hollywood Ripper. The case went cold for years before Gargiulo was finally convicted. At first, Ashton's story seemed like that of an innocent bystander caught in a tragedy. But then came a shocking allegation from one of Danny Masterson's victims, Chrissy Bixler. She publicly claimed that she overheard Ashton confessing something disturbing to Masterson on the night of the murder. According to Bixler, Ashton had called Danny that night and the conversation was put on speakerphone. She said she heard everything, and it wasn't the version of events Ashton told police. Chrissy later posted a message directed at Ashton, writing, "I know the secrets your role model keeps for you, the ones that will end you. Did you forget I was there? You were on speakerphone the night you called Danny on February 21, 2001. I heard everything. I heard the plan. In my opinion, you're just as sick as your mentor." Her words sent shockwaves through Hollywood. What plan was she referring to? And why had she waited so long to speak up? Though Gargiulo was ultimately convicted for Ashley's murder, Some believe Ashton's involvement wasn't fully investigated. If there was more to the story, was it covered up to protect his career? Hollywood has a long history of protecting its own. Danny Masterson, whose crimes were allegedly known within industry circles, was only finally convicted after years of silence and cover-ups. Now, with Diddy's legal troubles mounting, could more of Hollywood's darkest secrets be on the verge of exposure? If Diddy starts naming names, Ashton's carefully constructed reputation may not survive.
The right to pursue happiness for so many is stripped away. It's ripped. It's abused. It's taken by force, fraud, or coercion. It is sold for the momentary happiness of another.
As Diddy's empire crumbles, another major Hollywood cover-up may be unraveling. If federal prosecutors push Diddy to hand over evidence in an effort to reduce his own charges, the question remains, who else will be implicated? And could Ashton Kutcher's long-standing connections finally come back to haunt him? For years, Ashton has carefully navigated Hollywood, skillfully dodging controversies and scandals. But now he finds himself at the center of a federal investigation. With Diddy's trial looming and investigators digging deeper into his past, the walls are closing in. The critical question is whether Ashton is merely another celebrity caught in the web of Hollywood's dark underbelly, or if he's hiding something far more significant. What once seemed unthinkable has now become a reality. Ashton Kutcher, long considered untouchable, is facing serious legal scrutiny. The same industry that elevated him for decades is now shifting its gaze in his direction. Sources close to the investigation confirm that the federal government has officially subpoenaed Ashton, placing him directly in the crosshairs of the case against Diddy. At first, his involvement seemed incidental, but as investigators continue to unravel the layers, it's becoming clear that his connection to this scandal runs far deeper than initially realized. Reports suggest that behind the scenes, Ashton is panicking. He is allegedly consulting legal teams around the clock, weighing his options carefully. Some sources even claim that he's considering fleeing the country, possibly heading to Europe, in an attempt to escape the fallout. If that sounds extreme, consider the stakes. Diddy is facing charges that could land him in prison for life, and when powerful figures fall, they rarely do so alone. The entertainment mogul is rumored to have kept extensive blackmail material on his closest associates. Hidden cameras, recorded conversations, and compromising footage used to maintain control over those in his inner circle. If federal investigators get their hands on this material, it could spell disaster for more than just Diddy. The biggest question now is whether Diddy has something on Ashton. If incriminating footage or documents exist, Ashton would have every reason to be terrified. The media is already circling, sensing that something much larger is unfolding behind the scenes. News outlets are openly questioning his silence. Why has a man who built his career on advocating for justice suddenly gone silent? Ashton co-founded an organization dedicated to fighting child exploitation, yet he's now being dragged into a case linked to some of the most disturbing allegations Hollywood has ever seen. The hypocrisy is glaring, and the internet has taken notice. Social media is ablaze with divided opinions. Some defend Ashton, arguing that he's being unfairly dragged into a mess not of his own making. Others, however, point to his past and argue that his involvement is more than just an unfortunate coincidence. His history of defending convicted criminals, his presence at questionable Hollywood events, and the lingering questions surrounding his role in past scandals have fueled speculation that he may not be as innocent as he appears. With mounting pressure, the focus has now shifted to Ashton's next move. Legal experts suggest that his best option is to comply with the subpoena and testify. But that comes with its own risks. If he takes the stand, he will face tough questions about his relationship with Diddy, his attendance at private gatherings, and whether he has any knowledge of the crimes Diddy is accused of. A single misstep could turn him from a witness into a person of interest. Meanwhile, Diddy's legal team is preparing for an all-out battle. This case is no longer just about one man. It's about who else gets pulled into the wreckage. Legal insiders believe that Diddy may have already begun negotiating a deal, leveraging whatever information he has left to protect himself. If that's the case, Ashton may not be the only celebrity feeling the heat. As federal prosecutors continue their investigation, concerns are growing about what kind of material might surface. The The recent FBI raids on Diddy's properties reportedly uncovered a vast amount of digital evidence, some of which could contain highly sensitive information. If there are files, recordings, or documents linking Ashton to anything incriminating, it could be a career-ending revelation. Hollywood has a long history of protecting its own, but there are limits to that protection, especially when federal prosecutors are involved. Ashton's silence is only adding fuel to the fire, unlike other celebrities who have quickly distanced themselves from Diddy. He has not made any public statements. There have been no denials, no clarifications, no attempts to clear his name. This has led many to believe that he is either waiting for legal guidance or that he simply has no good explanation for why he's been subpoenaed. One of the biggest questions now is whether more celebrities will be implicated. Diddy's network is vast, and many of Hollywood's most powerful figures have been seen at his exclusive parties over the years. If he is willing to expose others in exchange for leniency, this could become one of the biggest scandals the entertainment industry has ever seen. Ashton may be one of the first names to surface, but he certainly won't be the last. With the trial approaching and new evidence still being processed, time is running out for those connected to the case. Ashton has spent years navigating Hollywood's elite circles, but this time, he may not have an escape route. If Diddy has damaging information on him, and if prosecutors push for full transparency, Ashton could soon find himself in the fight of his life, not just to protect his reputation, but to save his entire career. At this point, one thing is clear: the truth is coming out piece by piece. The question is no longer whether Ashton Kutcher will be affected, it's how much damage he will take in the process. If he is truly innocent, his best move is to come forward and tell the full story. But if he's hiding something, it may already be too late. Hollywood is watching, the public is watching, and most importantly, federal investigators are watching. The fallout is only just beginning. Hollywood has a way of protecting its own until it doesn't. The moment controversy becomes too big to ignore, the industry moves swiftly to cut ties in order to protect itself. Now, with Ashton Kutcher's name being dragged into the growing case against Diddy, the distancing has already begun. Major studios are reportedly reassessing their involvement with Ashton, quietly reconsidering projects tied to him. While no official statements have been made yet, industry insiders claim that closed-door discussions are taking place. The risk of being associated with someone caught in a federal investigation is too great, and for Hollywood executives, self-preservation always comes first. Even more telling is the silence from Ashton's celebrity friends. Those who once defended him during past controversies, like the Danny Masterson scandal, are now refusing to comment. No public statements, no support, just complete radio silence. It's a familiar pattern in Hollywood. When someone becomes a liability, their allies disappear overnight. Behind the scenes, Ashton is reportedly in full-blown panic mode. Sources claim he's lawyering up fast, assembling a legal team to navigate the subpoena and whatever fallout may come next. His advisors are allegedly urging him to avoid the media at all costs, fearing that any public misstep could make things even worse. The once outspoken actor has gone completely off the grid, leaving fans and critics alike to speculate on his next move. Meanwhile, Diddy's legal troubles continue to mount. Prosecutors have added more victims and charges to his case, strengthening the argument that his alleged crimes were not isolated incidents but part of a long-standing pattern of abuse. Reports suggest that Diddy has even used jailhouse phone calls to pressure witnesses, a situation so dire that some of his top attorneys have resigned from the case. With the walls closing in on Diddy and Ashton now entangled in the fallout, the question remains: who else will be dragged down before this is over? At this point, Ashton's future is uncertain. But one thing is for sure: if Diddy goes down, he won't be going alone.